o'clock. This is a meeting of the Newton ZBA. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the board members who are with us tonight. To my left, your right, Jen Pucci.
Recording in
Lipset,
progress.
Stuart Snyder. By Zoom,
All right.
Betsy
Welcome,
Sweet.
everybody.
And I'm
This
Mike
is
Rossi,
a
the
regularly
chair.
scheduled
I
meeting
do
of
want to
public
stop
facilities on
this
Wednesday,
time to
April
acknowledge
29th.
Mr.
We'll
Snyder,
begin
because tonight
audio
is
and video
Mr.
recorded.
Snyder's last meeting.
We're going to go through the budget today. It's exciting. But first, let me introduce who's here. We have from Ward 2, Councilor Albright. From Ward 3, Ward 4, we have Councilor Donald. We have Councilor Getz from Ward 5. We have Councilor Gordon from Ward 6, Councilor Grossman online from Ward 7, and I'm David Kalis from Ward 8. We have Shauna Sullivan, our Commissioner of DPW, as well as the Deputy Commissioner, Bernie McDonald. Looks like this Josh Morris, our COO, is here, as well as a few others. And here's from Ward 3, Councilor Kelly. Let's see, we have Doug Botello, Manager of Financial Services. If I'm wrong, you can correct me.
You are correct, sir.
Okay. Then we have Andre Parisi, Senior Financial Analyst. Okay, I'll go with that.
Yes, you're correct.
Trevor Garing, Financial Analyst 2.
Yes.
Yep.
All from financial services.
Okay. And then Kelly Codman.
Kelly Cadman,
Cadman.
who is our Director of Finance and Administration.
Okay, great. And then I see Councilor Stephen Farrell there. Is that Josh Princeman?
Yeah.
And Councilor Princeman.
Actually a picture of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's from when he was on Jeopardy.
And we have our esteemed clerk, Lisa Cannell. So, that, let's dig in. I'm gonna read the items that we'll be going through in full, so we have them all in there. So item 1-26, in the middle of the FY 2027 to 2031 capital improvement plan, has honored the mayor submitting the FY 27 to 31 capital improvement plan pursuant to section 5-3 of the Newton City Charter. Item 154-26, in the middle of the FY 27 to 31 supplemental capital improvement plan, is honored the mayor submitting in accordance with section 5-3 of the City of Newton Charter, the FY 2027 to FY 2031 supplemental capital improvement plan. And then item 155-26, the middle of the FY 27 municipal school operating budget, is honored the mayor submitting in accordance with section 5-1 of the City of Newton Charter, the FY 2027 municipal/school operating budget, passage of which will be concurrent with the FY 2027 FY 2031 capital improvement program, which is item 1-26. Effective date of submission is 4/21/26. Last date to pass the budget is 6/5/26. Today, what we'll be doing is going through a few budgets, and then we will take a straw vote on all of them together. And I'll hand it over to Ms. Sullivan.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Department of Public Works FY 27 budget along with our capital improvement program. Tonight, I'll walk you through our budget and CIP overview, key accomplishments and priorities for the upcoming fiscal year. Slide 2. Oops, sorry. So the FY 27 operating budget includes 37.3 million in general fund, 30 million in water, 36.6 million in sewer, and $8 million in stormwater. In addition, MWRA assessments total approximately 16.4 million for water and 25.8 million for sewer, which comes directly out of the water and sewer budgets. The most notable change this year is the increase in the stormwater budget, which is driven primarily by regulatory requirements like our NIPD's permitting, our phosphorus control reduction plan, and capital planning needs. Next slide. This work is supported by a strong leadership team across all divisions, including streets, utilities, transportation, engineering, fleet, sustainable materials, and administration. Our ability to deliver services and capital projects is directly tied to the expertise of this team. And I want to take an opportunity to thank the entire DPW team. Without them, we have nothing. They're incredible. Next slide. Go from here. We have 199 authorized positions with 42 current vacancies, largely due to retirements and internal promotions. Filling these positions is a priority to ensure we can continue to meet these service expectations. We currently have 13 job offers out, and we are actively working to bring those candidates on board and continue recruiting close to close the remaining gap. The department budget is divided across four primary funds: general fund, water, sewer, and stormwater. Next slide. These are our budget changes. In terms of change, the general fund increase supports core service delivery. The stormwater increase reflects regulatory requirements and capital needs such as drainage infrastructure improvements. The water and sewer budgets remain relatively level. Next slide.
Do you want questions as we go, or do you want them?
Could you hold them?
Yeah.
If that's okay with you.
Yeah.
I can take from it. It's the will of the committee. Our department-wide priority. Across the department, our priorities are focused on enhancing our 311 system, standardizing community engagement, improving operational efficiency through data and logging, strengthening workforce training, expanding preventive maintenance, and improving project delivery timeline. These priorities reflect a shift toward more proactive and performance-driven operations. Next slide. These are our streets and sidewalk accomplishments. This past year, we paved over 20 miles of roadway. We improved or installed 6.4 miles of sidewalk, installed over 220 ADA ramps, added and reset significant granite curbing, and cleared streets within 8 hours following storms. We also implemented route optimization software to improve efficiency. Next slide. These are our FY27 priorities. We will expand sidewalk and ADA improvements, increase minor roadway repair capacity, continue asphalt recycling, improve snow and ice routing by adding contractors to our route optimization system, and enhance our 311 tracking and responsiveness. Next slide. Our transportation accomplishments include the Lexington Webster Street traffic calming, which is substantially complete, the New Hampton Street sidewalk redesign, the raised cable intersections at Waverly and Franklin, Brookline, Hartman, and Spalding. We also added some bike lanes at a number of smaller locations, but also the Beacon Street protected bike lanes. And then we've installed 24 rectangular rapid flashing beacons at multiple locations across the city. We also addressed over 1,300 resident concerns through our 311 and coordinated closely with MassDOT on our major projects at Commonwealth Avenue and Hamilton Parkway and Needham Street. Next slide. Our transportation priorities for FY27 is to expand data-driven traffic calming, advance multimodal safety improvements, improve pavement marking, life cycle planning, strengthen coordination across departments, increase community engagement, to focus on safer, more predictable, and more coordinated project delivery. Next slide. Sustainable materials. Our solid waste and recycling program continues to perform at a very high level with over 99% on-time collection for both trash and recycling. We've also expanded organics programs and collected significant amounts of food waste. However, recycling contamination remains a challenge. It's currently at about 22%. Next slide. with sustainable materials. In FY '27, we will reduce contamination below 10% through an education program that will start this summer. Expand our organics participation, improve routing efficiency, increase education and outreach, continue to advance long-term materials management plan. The expected deliverable on that is December 2026. Next slide. This is our engineering. This is one of our assistant superintendents that Bertie caught coming out of the credit union this morning. And this is one of our ADA improvements. So when engineering continues to support major infrastructure projects and capital delivery, that is their charge. It's not very exciting, but very necessary. So in FY '27, in engineering, we are planning on focusing on improving permitting timelines, expanding NewGov, standardizing our review processes, and strengthening coordination between departments and divisions of the Department of Public Works. We work closely with planning often. The goal is a faster, more predictable project delivery. Next. It's our fleet management slide. Fleet continues to modernize operations through electric and hybrid vehicle, increase preventative maintenance, use of green diesel, implementation of a new fueling system, and this ensures reliability while managing long-term costs. This will be their priorities as well for next year. Next. Not going to get too deep into this because you just had a presentation on our Transportation Network Improvement Program. Happy to take any questions afterwards. The FY '27 program includes $9.5 million in funding. This supports paving preservation, sidewalks, ADA ramps, pavement marking, traffic calming, and engineering. We continue to balance rehabilitation with preventative maintenance to maximize our life cycle value. Our approach emphasizes applying the right treatment at the right time to extend the life of our roadway network. Next slide. Our water division. We are nearing completion of the water meter replacement program with over 28,000 meters replaced. We continue long-term water main replacement and system maintenance programs like our cleaning and lining. In FY '27, next slide. In FY '27, priorities include completing the meter program, expanding customer tools such as the My360 portal, improving customer communication, and advancing reservoir improvements. We will also continue to ensure compliance with the lead and copper rules and maintain a high water quality standards. Next slide. Our sewer division continues its multi-phase rehabilitation program with Area 9 currently underway, which is Oak Hill and Woburn area. Our focus is on reducing inflow and infiltration, which directly reduces costs associated with our MWRA assessments. We are also advancing pump station improvements and updating the sewer master plan to guide long-term investments. Next slide. Next slide. Our stormwater accomplishment. Stormwater continues to focus on regulatory compliance, particularly related to the EPA MS4 permit and phosphorus reduction requirements. We have expanded our catch basin cleaning program to 100% of the catch basins being cleaned annually. We have and are advancing our stormwater improvement plan. Next slide. Our stormwater priorities for FY '27 include advance those stormwater improvement plan, undertake stream and culvert cleaning and improvements, initiate phosphorus mitigation projects, improve data-driven maintenance, and expand our public education. Stormwater remains a major and growing area of investment. In closing, the Department of Public Works remains focused on maintaining core infrastructure, improving service delivery, and making strategic investments to support long-term sustainability. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, good. Questions? Councilor Albrecht, start off there.
So I have to say that there was a ton of good information in that presentation. but it went through by so fast. It was hard. It was hard. I was trying to make notes on it.
Sorry,
So it just, and I would love to have that, I'm sure we'll.
you will get the presentation.
So, just a couple of
We can
questions.
revisit any of the slides.
Yeah, well, yeah, it went by very fast. You were a fast talker tonight.
I'm so sorry.
Lots of good news.
Yeah, no, good stuff. I had a question about the vacancies. We have a lot, 42 vacancies and you're filling
13,
13.
we have 13 job offers out right
Yeah.
now.
So we always have in this department a lot of vacancies. Is there a lot of turnover?
There's an extreme amount of turnover. We lost 3 employees in the past couple of weeks. In one division, we have 4 job offers out in that division, but there isn't.
So this is not a question for tonight and for the budget, but I am interested in knowing what the issues are with turnovers. Is it the salaries we pay? What is it?
It's a number of things.
Yeah,
It's,
it's worth discussing and worth understanding.
it is salary, part of it is salary driven, I will be honest with you there.
okay.
People transfer to other divisions within public works often.
That's good.
It's a good thing.
Not for you, but.
No. And we like to promote from within, so sometimes that takes a minute for a person to be trained to be able to take that next position. We have somebody in engineering that's very interested in going the cheapest survey. He has a couple of requirements still to meet. We expect him to meet them this year, and we will be able to offer him that promotion.
Oh, that's good. That's good to promote. That's great.
We try very hard to do that.
With respect to the budget issues, the operating expenses has gone up a lot. It seemed to go up in every division, it went up significantly.
Personnel expenses, for the most part,
Is that what, no operating expenses? In the budget summary, it says percent of total is 58%. Oh, no, that's the percent of total. So that's not an issue, but in each individual section, it went up. Operating expenses went up. Now I'm at fault because I can't remember where, all my notes.
so I have a slide that gives you the percentage of increase in
Thank
each of.
It seems like the water went down on your slide and.
It went up by almost 2%, just
Oh,
about
okay.
below 2.
So sustainable materials, it says expenses, the change is 291,000. Am I missing something?
That includes our personnel expenses as well.
So
So
that's all.
it includes all expenses. I
Well,
will
it says
go to-
personnel services goes up by 93,000, but expenses go up by 291,000.
But we also have the obligation of paying our waste management contract, which does increase every year.
Okay, all right, so that's what that's all about.
I'm going right now.
Oh, there it is.
In the budget. $93,000 increase in our personnel line items. And a $291,000 increase in our operating expenses.
So what is that for? That's a lot, it's a lot of increase. There must be a reason for it.
It's our
It's
contract.
okay, sustainability.
It is our collection and disposal, which went up by $461,000
Okay.
and change.
One other question that I can find quickly is, there's one unit where there were a lot of zeros in terms of, maybe it's zeros in terms of change.
Potentially.
So that's engineering services. No, I was looking at the zeros in terms of change. There's not much.
There's
change.
not much change. We
Okay.
are fairly level funded across the general fund, except for the exceptions like the contract for sustainable materials.
Okay, and so, and then my last question is the street lighting. So I think it's West Newton Hill, there's still a lot of gas lights. Are we gonna do something about those?
We just received all of the solar heads to replace those.
Yay.
So we'll be installing those over the summer.
Right. Good work.
They had to be manufactured, so it did take a while and they came from overseas.
So there'll be the same lighting fixtures, but
Yes.
they'll be solar
They're
powered.
very, very similar to what exists today.
Excellent.
Some of them we will need to go to the historic commissions to get approval for,
Okay.
but I don't see an issue with it
Okay, that's a great
because they're
start.
so similar.
Okay,
And we've already worked with National Grid for a plan on shutting off those gas services to those street plants.
okay,
All right,
thank you.
Counselor Kelly?
Thanks. You're certainly not the only department that's facing turnover issues. We're seeing it in the clerk's office, we're seeing it, and you may have more, but when you ask what's driving that, I think it's a combination of things. And one factor really, as you say, is municipal government just doesn't pay as well as the private sector for all of those departments, and it is hard to get people, so you're not alone in that. When you were covering traffic calming and intersection improvements, it made me think of something that's recently come up in Ward 3, which is an RFB. Excuse me, I'm just choking on nothing. Thank you for opening up my water to me.
They saw the Celsius.
I'm wondering, which is, it is a cost thing. Is there an average cost per unit?
There is.
What is that about?
It's
Per-
about $30,000 per unit,
Oh, that's all. Okay, I thought it was more.
unless we have to make ADA improvements in order to
Yeah.
install, which we are required to do.
Okay. My specific question is about one that's, I guess, going in at Webster and Lexington, and we three, Ward 3 counselors are all surprised at that, because we've never heard from anybody that that was a priority intersection to do. So I'm wondering, what is the criteria and how do you prioritize the locations of the installation of these?
So the Webster Lexington Street is a larger
Yep.
project that does include.
Oh, it's just part of.
It is part
okay.
of the larger project. It is,
While you were doing the larger project, it made sense. to
it
put one of these
included
in
it there, yes, because it's near a school and we want everyone to be safe crossing.
It's
and
not
I
really
think
near a
Hyde
school.
Park.
It's not really near a school.
Hyde Park. Oh,
Not really.
no.
No, it's near Starbucks.
Oh, wow.
But I'm just wondering, like, well, we hear a lot. Do you ever talk to the counselors of the ward for where some of these are going in to get input on, like, what do you think? Is this a priority safety improvement or intersection?
We
improvement?
absolutely can. I can share with you the prioritization of the RFP. This one is a one-off because
Oh,
it is
okay.
part of a larger
Okay, well,
project.
that explains it to me. I just,
It
on
was
behalf
funded
of
through the whole project.
Counselor Malachi and Wright, I just wanted to ask that on behalf of the whole, what is the criteria, how we prioritize? I was thinking they were more expensive too, so I'm not that worried about the 30.
Which intersection was that?
Webster and Lexington.
I can't think
What's
of,
it?
I can't think of where Webster meets Lexington, but yeah.
Near Starbucks.
Right next to it.
Isn't that Ward 4?
It's on the edge of Ward.
That's
Four.
true, that might have
It
actually.
actually
that's
may be
interesting.
Ward 4.
Wait a minute. Okay, okay.
It might be, but it was because it was Webster, I think we were thinking about it, we're like, oh, we've never heard anybody complain about like being able to cross there. It is.
Because look,
Maybe it's for the-
No.
okay, I don't want to take up any more time on that, thank you.
Okay, that-
Thank you for explaining.
All right.
Yeah, that's
Counselor-
important.
Counselor Getz?
I
Tony.
am sort of all over the place here because I actually did what you did, from looking at what we were given in terms of going through the budget, so I'm looking at the line item.
Yeah.
So I literally, page by page, I sort of have questions, and it's just, it's unfortunate.
We're not
that-
staying here till 2 a.m.
No, but I'm just sort of, like I assume that, it's minutia, because it doesn't, in terms of, I'm seeing like in traffic calming materials, went from, in FY 25, like a $300 budget, then you bumped up to, 400,000 over. So I'm assuming this is in-house work. This
It
budget
is both.
Okay, so this is not contracted. This one.
It is contracted.
Oh, so this
The
is the.
traffic calming is in general
Yeah, that's
contracted.
what I
We
thought.
do some of it in-house, like
okay.
bump outs.
Right, right. So this budget then covers what? It
It
covers.
covers both.
Okay, all right, because that's a pretty small budget then, in terms of budget.
We also have funding in our streets and the
Mhm.
9.5
So it comes
Yes,
from different
it
sources.
comes from
Mm.
different.
Okay, this multifamily collection, the 529204, it's saying, are there specific sites within the city that we pick up?
Yes,
Okay, and is that because,
it could be 4 units or below. That's
Okay.
generally the standard.
okay,
And also, there are some properties that were granted special permits with, that we still pick up for. It wasn't excluded as part of the special permit.
okay,
There, it's almost like a legacy collection.
okay, all right, because I was wondering how that even became its
Mhm.
own line item. So they're not normally on a normal route,
They
they're on
are,
a,
they
they're,
are just contractually, some of them are dumpsters, yes.
okay, okay. I mean, this is just very revealing, and it was like, I didn't know this even existed. I just assumed that everybody gets picked up at the same time. But this looks like it's a separate kind of pickup.
I'm happy to share our waste management contract. That is part
Okay.
of the waste management contract.
Okay, all right, all right. We talked about the snow removal piece. And then in here, the paving supplies override. I assume that's what this is.
So that's an override, I want to say 12.
Mhm.
And a portion of those override funds are.
Tell us- Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm on page 4 of the budget. And I'm literally, it's 553300. So I was just identifying a specific thing that seemed to go all over the place, and I didn't understand, like, it was 2.5 million in 20, the actual in 2024. It's page 4.
In the public works tab? Yeah,
Yes.
it's.
It goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I also don't understand.
It's under expenses.
It's,
It's an admin line,
it's on
right?
page 2. See, I know it's
Okay,
so
yeah,
bad.
got it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just sort of sorry, I'm just, okay, all right, so I didn't understand.
What's the account number?
It's 553300. It's
Oh.
that, it's under, the sub 1001.
Okay.
401.
Rise over.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and you see how it goes up and then it goes, so and it levels off, like
We
the last 2
probably had
years.
rollover because we didn't expend that money,
Okay,
so it rolled into the next
oh,
year.
okay,
So,
okay, but what is that even, what is that?
so it's from the 2012 override, I think it was 2012.
Oh,
My memory
okay.
serves me.
Okay.
We're required to track how we are expending those funds annually,
Oh,
so that is
Okay,
why it is in this separate account. It is part of the 9.5 million for the
Okay.
transportation network improvement plan.
okay, all right, quite a bit of additional information there. It's like, oh my goodness. All right, and then, so I could go on, just sort of,
Feel free.
no, it's like, wow, who knew? And then the software maintenance, I'm sorry to, I'm on page
Which-
1. I went backwards, and I'm looking at 524100. And then, yeah, I'm on page 1. Yeah, so I'm just in this expenditure of, it's 4.
Engineering
54.
services?
It's
Yes.
software maintenance,
Yes.
okay?
Expenses. Right?
So,
And then, so this is under, or,
Yeah.
so I'm just curious, is that the actual, what is that?
so this is
exactly?
our engineering, so this covers our Bluebeam, our CAD, all of the tools needed to design.
Okay,
Those are all the subscription costs for the
Okay.
design and
Okay.
probably some of, yeah. that's
Okay.
Exactly.
all right, and then what does longevity stand for? In terms of just if you go up a little bit, it's 514001.
So union, city employees receive a longevity bonus for the length of time that they serve.
Okay.
So I think it's 10
Okay.
years for most employees. I would have to look at the contracts to be
Okay.
sure.
Okay, so it's
I
like
believe
a
it's 10 that it
bonus.
starts.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, okay. Sorry to be so specific there.
worries.
It's like,
Good.
no, it was like, this stuff I didn't understand. Okay, thank you.
You are very welcome.
Okay.
So,
I have a couple questions, if I might. The 9.5 million for transportation.
Yeah.
Is that what we budgeted last year? And,
We did receive some supplemental funding
right,
from, I believe it was DPW attrition and some free cash maybe.
yeah. So how are we feeling about that this time? I mean, we're budgeting to 99%, which is higher than 98 or 98.5, whatever was done, so there's not gonna be as much free cash. 9.5 isn't enough, probably for what we need. So we're gonna have to find it somewhere. Is there are there any thoughts around that? Or is it just, this is what it is and we'll try to figure it out as we go?
I think that's the direction that we would go in. I would hope, and I don't know what the administration's plan is for that, that additional cash would be available if it is truly available.
Right. Okay. And they know, they're aware of that.
Yes.
How's your checkbook?
Yeah, I know. Similarly, how are we planning for snow removal this year versus, is it the same as we've done last?
It is the same. Do remember that we do have money within the comptroller's budget under a snow reserve.
Right,
Brings it, I believe, to 5.5 million. And then there is some. I can't remember the name of the account, but there's a reserve account.
right. And I know in the last administration, they were trying to increase that by 250,000 every year. Did we do that again this year or?
I don't believe so. I believe it's level funded this year at
Okay.
3.5.
So that's another area where we're kind of underfunded, but we're kind of just like.
Depending on how much snow we get.
I know, well, then the follow-up question is, how much was it last year? Was our total number for snow removal?
You mean this year?
We talked about
You
it
mean
last
this
night.
year.
Right.
I will bring all the,
Six.
Right.
It's about the
it's
number.
about
I think
that,
that's
yes.
what we're reaching
Yeah.
last night.
yeah, I will bring the breakdown. I do have it. I just,
Okay, but that's a big.
However, that
difference.
was way, way, way higher than the previous few years.
the number of inches are double, I believe.
Yeah, we were under the last few years and then we had, I'm sorry
No,
about
it's
it.
okay.
Yeah.
We had additional snow and ice
Mhm.
money that we were able to repurpose for other things, but this year was a tough one.
Yeah,
Yes, that is some of the money that went into paving.
All right, similarly, I wanted to ask, do you have enough money for contractors for the streets?
Yes.
Okay, because, you know, there was that last year we had, I think you probably had enough money, but it was just that this.
Hmm.
So are you talking about our snow contractors?
No,
street.
uh, paving,
Paving.
okay.
Sure, if I might interrupt, we
Yeah.
have Cyril Morris with his hand raised.
Oh, yeah,
And
I'm just going to briefly answer the previous question. A great one about kind of priorities with respect to the $9.5 million and streets and sidewalks. Certainly, the administration recognizes that streets and sidewalks are a high priority for our entire community, for our city council, and for all of us. So while we certainly will be looking to utilize other sources of funds that as we have in the past, to complement the $9.5 million. We also look forward to working in the not too distant future on ways that we can start to make some gains in that account in future budgets. So that'll be something that we look forward to working with the city council on in the not too distant future.
right.
Not sure,
Yeah.
what does that mean? To make gains in other budgets, what does that mean?
Future budgets.
Meaning to increase that $9.5 million.
Increase
fine.
the allocation.
You want to find efficiencies in other areas to be able to fund that?
I think it's a combination of that and looking at, as we craft our budgets going forward, you know, not only redeploying other resources, but taking a look at our revenue versus our expenses and seeing if there are opportunities for revenue to increase those dollars in that account. Very similar to, you know, many of you saw me when I was in public buildings and we tried to make advancements in our less than 75 small capital projects account. The same thing is true here with paving and sidewalks.
Okay. Just have one last question.
increase revenue somehow.
Can you dig deeper into what the increase is in stormwater? I know it's phosphorus related, but just to, so,
It is phosphorus and drainage improvement related.
okay, so what specifically?
So we do need maintenance on our streams and culverts, obviously, and we will have a better sense of exactly what we need when we finish our stormwater improvement plan update.
So is most of it improving the culverts? Is there, in some of it's for getting ready for, cause I get the sense we're not really spending on phosphorus reduction yet.
We are for the planning and
Okay,
for the testing and identifying site.
I see.
So we have 2 sites that are progressing and possibly a third. They are the Cabot Dog Park and Cold Spring Park.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Counselor Princeman and then Grossman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize if this was specifically asked, because I know Councilor Kayla started to touch on it, but I'm wondering if you have information about last year's, the year before, but really last year's expenditures. Okay, I know we have the budget number here, but there are a number of things that come up after the budget. There are a number of free cash items. There's, extra equipment that's bought. And especially in light of the fact that we're budgeting to 99%, which again, I support, I'm trying to get my hands around how much money did we actually spend on DPW last year and how much are we budgeting for this year? Are you able to help inform me on that?
I would need time to answer that one. I'm happy to get you those
Okay.
answers and share those with the committee, if that's okay with you, Counselor.
That would be great. That would be helpful. I didn't want to sort of spring this on you, and I had tried to ask that question in advance of all the budget hearings. I don't know how, easily that information can be pulled together. But I would appreciate it, especially for DPW. I certainly have that question of other departments as well, but especially for DPW, because I do feel like things come up in DPW even more than other departments. So I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Could Counselor Princeman, could you just explain to me your question?
What the hell am I asking?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. The budget comes out, right? We vote on the budget, as you all know. And then what happens is during the year, there are a number of, free cash items, transfers from one department to the other. And we're wrong about how much money we're going to spend on each department. That's not because we can't be wrong, but that's because things happen during the year that aren't anticipated in advance of the budget. Especially in light of the fact that we are budgeting to right near the cap of what we anticipate in revenues, I just want to get a feel for what the budget is looking like versus what we actually anticipate we may have to spend on any given department.
For this year? Are you talking about for last year?
You'd like me to compare last year to this year in terms of funding we received for paving, equipment, and I think snow and ice captures it?
Yeah, I mean, the budget is what we expected to spend in a department, but I want to know how much did we actually spend
Any additional
on the
funds?
department?
Yes.
Can I go to Mr. Botello?
Sure.
Sorry to interject, just to put some light into the counselor's question there. If you look at the cover pages for DPW, we have the allocation. Now, as you know, FY26 is not over yet. We have till July 1st. So, we're missing some months of expenditures, but it's a rough scope of where we're at spending wise, snapshot within the last month of FY26 versus what we're budgeting for FY27. And if you'd like to have those numbers, we can give you projections, but we don't have FY26. So obviously we're budgeting in the rears here. So it's a little bit difficult to give you that, but I'd be happy to help provide you with any information you want where we're trending in any areas that you're concerned.
Yeah, it's not necessarily an area of concern, but that information would be great. It's super helpful. Totally understand that FY26 is not yet over. It's why I also referenced, maybe FY25, because what I'd like to do is start sort of taking a look at these numbers historically. How far off were we when we budgeted? What did we actually need? Can we budget? Can we look at different things to budget? So
just to follow up, and Shauna, we work pretty close and she has the historical knowledge, obviously, me being new in the role, but we work pretty close on, baselining that on a year-over-year trend, right? So we're not just, we zero-base budget to the sense that we're looking at what happened for prior year trends in certain areas of concern. Snow is a big thing, as we know, because how volatile it is, but we do, I mean, I can provide you with that and be happy to help, but we do use, prior year historical basis for everything we're doing, so.
Okay, and thank you. And are you saying that on the front page of this, the graphic that has DPW functions, those are FY26 expenditures?
So it should be at the bottom left, we should have some prior year, and then we should have the FY27 on the cover page.
Right, but those prior years, that's the budget number, right? That's not the actual expenditures of the department.
Correct, but we also
Okay.
have the expense detail in the budget as well.
So the FY25 number is not actual expenditures, it's what was budgeted?
I'll have to see it. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it has both.
I think it's, okay. I thought it was usually the budget number, which is the standard way of doing things, and I'm
You
not
know, we
criticizing
have-
anyone for ever doing it, but,
We have the expense detail in there as well, so you can see both.
So
and I know
Counselor-
Josh Morris has his hand up, and he may want to tell me why I'm crazier.
No, and I actually have a thought on this. I think that we're not including, some of this was ARPA funding through the past few years. I'm happy to get those numbers for you as well. That was some of what was supplemental to our paving and our traffic calming.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Councilor Brinsman.
I was actually just going to say, I don't think you're crazy at all, but I think
Thank
what
you.
might be.
Stop right there. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. What might be helpful though is I think we may want to list, for instance, all of the free cash, yeah, ARPA as well, but like what they were specifically for, because, for instance, we'll oftentimes use free cash to buy a piece of equipment for DPW that was actually part of the fleet line in the CIP, but because we had free cash, we used it there. So I wouldn't want that to kind of skew the numbers. So we'll provide you with the raw data, but we might give you kind of a breakdown so that you can decide which one you think is operational versus capital, for example.
Exactly. That would be super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, and because you're right, because capital can be viewed as a one-time expense, but we also know that there are capital expenses every year.
Yep.
So it's sort of like,
Exactly.
you got it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good. Councilor Grossman.
Thank you. So first I want to pick up where this conversation is ending, which is to, first on your cover page. So for 2024 and 2025, those are actual closed book numbers. For 2026, that was the budget for 2026, but because that fiscal year isn't over, that's not an actual number. But then if you flip into the detail, like if you then go to the departmental legal level of control, page 1, you have the actuals for 23, 24, 25, the original budget for 26, recommended for 27, and then that change column is what was recommended in 26, what's recommended in 27. This really became quite clear in our conversation with when we were reviewing the comptroller's budget last night, because in that budget, we carry a lot of really big reserves. And if you look back quickly, it's like, wait a second, our wage reserve in past years was 0. And it's not that it was budgeted at 0. It's that when you transfer that money out, that actual number becomes 0 because that money was spent in salaries at the department that the negotiation was going on, and then the money gets transferred. So what I would actually suggest, I'm sure everybody's answered these questions so well, and I know they can all put the numbers together for you. I would also just remind everybody that if you want up to the minute numbers at any time, call our comptroller. He can compare every account and any level of granularity that you want. And that is really one of his primary functions to the council. So feel free to do homework. Also feel free to tell Steve that it's my fault that he's getting lots of calls from people, after this particular meeting. Okay, I have questions that are sort of more macro level and more micro level. I think I'm going to start with the more macro ones. So, in this year's sort of lead up of working with the mayor and talking about what this budget process was gonna be like and how we wanted to improve the budget process. This idea kept coming to my mind that what I really wanna know from department heads is what do you actually have discretion over? You know, when you're at your desk and you've got your budget before you, how much of this budget is something that you can say, you know what, we really have a need for X. I'm gonna spend it on X, and how much is just completely laid out here in people and materials.
The personnel and benefits, obviously, I have no control over, they are what they are. But in general, department heads do have control over what projects are being done. I do ask and advocate for additional funding for anything that we feel is low. I did, for example, have the director of utilities go through and figure out what he actually needed for consultants and so forth. And they are reflected in here.
So it's a bigger number in this department than another. So like, for example, just sort of pointing out where my head is at with this. In the comptroller's budget where things are, like what they're doing is a pretty straightforward set of deliverables. That answer is $7,000. Like the whole budget is people and their benefits and maybe a conference or two. And then there's like $7,000 that Mr. Curley would have discretion to say, this is what I'm gonna do with it. Which was a pretty striking thing for people to hear because out in the community where we're having these conversations of, oh, what's another $250,000 to fund this thing off in this budget over here? You know, it's sort of a reality check that on the city side of things, the wiggle room is really
Narrow,
limited.
it's very narrow.
Right, and that leads to my next question, and these are like kind of macro questions, and I asked them of all the department heads last night, so don't think I'm picking on them. If we suddenly had, you know, extra cash flow, we passed the great override, our pension obligations were paid off, and we were able to say, you know, you've got $250,000 that you can implement, what would you do with it?
Sidewalks.
So, and not necessarily like more people.
That's easy.
No, it would be sidewalks.
And if we were in a really tight budget year and Maureen came around to all of you and said, you got to cut another $100,000, what would have to go?
In the general fund?
I mean, it all,
You
like
know, it has
last
to be
night, the
from the
answer was
general fund.
people, you know, there's nothing else to cut but people.
We could
So-
theoretically cut people. It will be a lot. We do have vacancies, which we
Running
just
down to-
discussed. We're down people. But we would get more done if we had full positions, all of our positions filled. But yes, it would be some of our people.
Or I assume like you'd have to say, not these sidewalks or.
Or not these sidewalks, but as you are aware, our roads and our sidewalks are critical to residents and.
Totally. So anyway, that's just sort of, to me, interesting to think about, you know, in terms of what our department heads are, you know, kind of where you would like to be able to move on things, and if we found ourselves in tougher times or had to make tougher decisions on the city side, which that really would help.
Yesterday, could they give you numbers? You got one number, 7,000, but.
I mean, the other was Mr. Mendez's budget, the treasury budget, and it was another very meaningfully low. You know, but and again, they're pretty straightforward functions. You know, in this department, you're
very
talking real
different.
nuts and bolts and materials and, you know, waste contracts.
Be that low, like.
I don't know if Mr. Mendez gave us a specific dollar number, but it was the same sort of thing where his answer, if he had extra money, that he would invest it in technology. And he was talking about all the ways we could process things more efficiently and provide better customer service to the residents if we were able to purchase technological platforms. But if we had to cut, there's nothing to cut but humans. So the vacancy question I find really interesting because we have had a number of vacancies, and you know, in the past few years where we've had some contentious conversations, those vacancies have come up a lot. We talked about them a lot. How do you think, maybe you know, our vacancies this year compared to the last few years of the department?
We're actually better this year. We've managed to hire additional people. We were down, I think, 4 or 5 mechanic positions. We're only down 2.
So another tough question that I don't know if you know the answer to. How much money would it take in salary bumps to fill these positions?
It is really dependent on the position. So mechanics, no city pays enough to get the mechanics unless they're, for the most part, they come for the benefits
Mhm.
and the steady work hours. Dealerships can pay so much more,
Mhm.
and it could be $100,000. If it
Have you
applies.
considered, and I only ask this because I know a lot of these vacancies are, in subsections of the department where there's more than one person who
Mhm.
performs this
That's
function.
often the case.
Have you considered, reducing the number of those positions, but increasing the salary for the existing positions for, say, a mechanic?
We actually really need all of our mechanic positions to be filled. To be honest, they are responsible for the entire city fleet except for fire. So it is a critical function.
And so that,
And we then have to contract out, which is much more expensive.
so is that in effect what we end up doing, is contracting out to make up for the
We
vacancy?
usually try to run an overtime shift each week because that is actually less expensive to get the work done.
Interesting. I guess, I certainly wouldn't expect these kinds of changes to be reflected like right now, and particularly not with a new mayor and a new administration. But I guess what I'm interested in as this new team gets its feet under it going forward is, like, does it make more sense to increase the contracting line? Like, are we living in a different world where we're not gonna have this number of mechanics or this number of whatever the subset is to more accurately be able to reflect where we're spending?
So I do feel like it is changing just recently, perhaps in the past 8 months or so, that we've been getting more and more applicants.
Do you think, this is just an out of the box question, do you think the rise of AI is contributing to that? And I've been listening a lot lately to the implications of AI in the workplace and the fact that, like, hands-on jobs are harder to replace.
Yes.
You think the entry-level positions, entry-level
But
analysts would become mechanics?
I-
That's hard. to
No,
imagine.
it's-
No, but I wonder if, as it becomes harder and harder for people to find the kinds of jobs that are driven by a computer,
Technology,
if
technology-based jobs.
Yeah.
if we end up with more interest in skills-based jobs. I don't know, that's just something I think about, particularly raising young children.
Large
You know,
change.
what they, should study in the future.
Supposed to free up some manual labor.
Yeah, right. According to Elon Musk, we're all gonna be vacationing all the time.
One with him?
All right, anyway, thought experiment over, some other, more nuts and bolts questions. The waste management contract has come up a couple times, and we've had docket items in the past number of years, and we've always brought it before us. Can you just remind us where we are in our current contract?
You just approved it last budget cycle, so we're in the second year of our 5-year contract.
We just started the second year, or we're about to start?
We're
the second
about to
year?
start the second, I believe. I would need to check the contract date,
Okay,
but I think we are in our second year.
okay. Past that. This, I saw, I don't remember what page it was on. There was a street cleaning line item in here that was slightly lower than the year before. Which I found interesting because we had the street sweeping item last night.
Is it expenses, which is 20,000 lower?
Yes, that sounds correct, but I don't have it in front of me right now. I just wrote it down on the front page. of the
It's on page
529-250.
Hey, put it on.
529-250.
Being capable of putting in these accounts.
Page 9.
5 2.
Page 9 or page 2?
Street sweeping is a separate
Oh, that's different than what I
Budget.
saw.
Yeah.
Street cleaning?
What's
Street
the
cleaning.
Well,
Street
what's the
cleaning is
difference? And why is that number lower?
It is. on
Yeah, the
here.
disposals of street sweeping, it's a disposal contract.
Oh, so that's like
So-
disposal of what we sweep?
Yes.
Yes. They come and collect it and dispose of it.
That's
If you
lower.
notice, yeah.
No.
We've only spent 51,562 this year. I expect that to pick up as we've just restarted our sweeping program, but I don't think that we'll go over the 100,000.
Okay. I found the snow and ice thing interesting, and I know Mr. Patella was on here. Mr. Patella, I don't know if you're available right now, but we talked about this also last night because the rest of the snow and ice money is in the comptroller's budget. And I asked Ms. Lemieux if we had grown the snow and ice number in your budget per usual, and my recollection was she said yes. Mr. Patella, do you recall that from last night or know the thinking behind not increasing it this year? Because to my knowledge, this is the first time since I've been here that we've stopped increasing it, which maybe implies that we've grown it to a number that Ms. Lemieux feels comfortable with.
So I only heard the first part, but your snow and ice budget, we do have that reserve. And I didn't hear your first part. You were a little soft spoken. Speakers down.
Since I've been here, which this is the 9th budget cycle that I've been through, each year Ms. Lemieux has been growing the snow and ice removal number in DPW's budget to try to get up to the average number that we, truly spend each year. And obviously that's had wide fluctuations over
Yes.
really less so in my earlier years here, much more so in the last few years. So last night I asked her if we were growing it again per usual, and I thought she said yes, but this shows that we are not. So I was wondering if you knew.
No, I mean, this year is pretty volatile with snow and ice, but the year over year trend, she has increased it, but we do offset it with the reserve we have in the comptroller's office, which Steve kind of offsets and pushes over, which this year is covered and which we still have going forward. So I don't think she increased it in DPW's budget, but we do have that reserve offset in the comptroller's office.
Got it, which I totally understand and no, I just sort of wanted to point out to this group that that's a change from what we have been doing in the past 9 years anyway.
It used to be in DPW, not in the contract.
No, well, no. It was always in both places. The problem is that we used to budget a snow and ice number that was absurdly low before Ms. Lemieux got here. And she has tried to sort of grow into a realistic number without sticking a number in this budget that says $8.6 million. And her methodology of doing that was growing, I thought it was $500,000 a year, maybe $250,000 a year each year to try to get up to that number. Meanwhile, holding the reserve money in the comptroller's budget, because then it's easy to move things from the comptroller's budget other places, but it requires, coming to us for docket item approval. So it's held as reserve there and then budgeted money here. The other advantage of it sitting in a reserve account is I think, I'm gonna not finish that statement. I was gonna say in terms of how like Moody's calculates our free cash and our reserves, and like we get credit for having reserves. So if we don't end up, if it's sitting in the snow and ice budget in DPW, Moody's isn't counting that as a reserve.
I thought there was a point last year where there was like a steady state, 3.5 million here with 1.5 million there, depending, and then you see how the snow actually produces itself.
She may feel that. I'd have to ask her.
Last year, and there was a steady state that we've achieved.
Maybe so. We'd have to ask. I don't know.
Ask her.
There was a capital expense item on the first page here that is flat of $425,000, but in the years prior, I guess it's been a little all over the place now that I look at it. Is that for, trucks or equipment? It's
On
like
page one?
page 1, third line down. Public Works summary capital expenses. And it's $425,000 with zero change funds. Here's that.
That's our vehicles, but I would need to note 122. No increase there. It is probably a combination of all of our capital expenses going up in, because this is the overall. So we would need to go through each of the different categories.
And so I was
capital
just
expense.
kind of curious, like, do you see, each year going in, do you have the expectation that you have money to spend on a truck or a vehicle if
Yes.
you need to?
Yes.
So that's probably what that is.
Some
but I-
of the vehicle expenses are reflected in the water and sewer and stormwater budgets as well.
Got it.
As they need vehicles.
All right, two more questions, and one of them is about water, sewer, and stormwater. And that one, I just wanted to give you a heads up that last night, we also had, also it's a very robust meeting. We also had our accountants come in and present our audited financial statements for the year. And they went over our water, sewer, and stormwater net position, which is an accounting term, but it really confused a lot of the members of the committee as to how much money is sitting in those funds. Rather than diving into that last night, I did tell our committee members we're obviously having our hearing on the 18th. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that particularly for some folks who've not been through this process before, they really wanted to understand how we, how the money in those funds functions, how much cash we have, how we spend it. So I just kind of wanted to give you a preparation that we may need a little bit more robust explanation upfront. on the
Okay,
SBT.
so I can run through the MWRA assessments, what that costs us.
Yeah,
each
we can
year,
talk about it. And I
Sure.
think Maureen obviously was
And
present
our
last
capital
night and could help
projects.
guide as well, but people were just confused about what lives in there and how do we kind of separate out what money runs through there versus what runs through here. And obviously that will inform the vote about setting the rates as well. And my final question was, you mentioned recycling contamination being pretty high. We pay a cost for that, right?
Yes.
So what would you estimate where, like, we're being penalized essentially for our bad behavior or poor compliance?
I would need to get back to you on that, cost.
I think it was presented.
Yeah.
It's in Juanita's
In one of these, yeah.
presentation from a
It was a
couple of
pretty
weeks
big
ago.
number.
It's a,
Okay.
it's a good chunk.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I'd be curious to be reminded. Thank you.
But I do want to share with you the last time that we did this educational push with our residents, it did drop under 9%.
Right, and that
We
was-
are doing that this summer.
Are you doing it again
Yes,
this summer?
we're doing it again this summer.
Okay.
So maybe.
We
can
won't tell
include
Counselor
it
John
on-
Kyle. He did not like that. Well, not that he didn't like the compliance, but is that gonna involve Juanita's team going can to can and notifying people?
And we are hiring some part-time people to do that as well, to make sure that we cover as much of the city as we possibly can.
Go to Lonnie's house.
Good.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor Rosen. All right, we're joined by Counselor Roach and Counselor Bixby. I see you, Counselor Albright, but I'm gonna go to Counselor Farrell first.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're on mute, Counselor Farrell.
I'm clicking unmute. What do I do? Hello?
We can hear you.
You're quiet.
You're quiet though.
Just speak up, Counselor Farrell, if you mind.
Thank you. Let me get in. First and foremost, you've probably heard this not enough times, Commissioner, but I want to congratulate you and your entire staff on the work you did during the snowstorm. It really
Thank you,
was
Phil.
spectacular.
Thank you.
One of my questions is the most off question that I think I and probably most of us here is, when are you going to fix my street? The second most popular question is, why didn't you tell me when you were going to start? Now I can't get out of my driveway. So the question is, I've heard with unfortunate regularity that the communication between DPW and when these street programs start frequently are not communicated well to the residents. That happens not only for paving, but also for water cleaning, the sewer, the main cleaning and so forth. And I have heard innumerable times about people who are in fact stopped from getting out of their driveway because there are trucks in the way that have started. So the question is, I don't know how expensive a process this is for you, the notification and keeping people informed in the neighborhoods where the streets are being done or where the mains are being flushed. But it does seem to be a lack of communication. I don't know, again, if that's a matter of personnel or stamps or what, but I wonder if you could speak to that, please.
We do send out a mailer to every resident on streets that we are paving. If you hear of anyone that is stuck, we will address that instantly if they give us a call. We are looking at different notifications. I know that we're looking at a different type of, I want to call it 311 reverse call to the resident. This perhaps is something that we could look at doing. Also, our contractors do tape or put flyers on everyone's doorway before they pave. And there are also no parking signs out at least 2 to 3 days before a paving operation. We may have missed somebody. We will do better.
Thank you for that. And unfortunately, it's not just a few. I mean, there are an enormous number of people regular. I mean, I can probably send you the names of 120 people who've had the same issue in different parts of the city. But it would be helpful. Pardon me?
So the other thing I want to share with you, it isn't always necessarily DPW paving. National Grid also paves. When they've done work on a street, they'll come back in and pave afterwards. It can be up to a year later.
I appreciate that. That could be part of the
Their
problem.
notification, sorry, but we do our very best to let people know.
Okay, I would ask you to look at that system for notifying people. And with all due respect, 2 days, I mean, I don't know what the process is, but 2 days seems to be a short period of time for people to prepare for that. But I would ask you to look at that process because it is somehow missing a lot of people. When it will start, how long it will last, and whatever else things they need to know. But I ask you to do that. I have another question, if I may, quickly. In your relationship with DPW, it's a situation that's complicated by the fact that this is a private road. I don't know why, but off of Needham Street is Rockland Street, and it was used as a staging road for the reconstruction of Needham Street, and it has horrendous, pot lakes. I mean, they're just huge. And there are several businesses there that have been asking us to take care of this. And the city is responding that it is a DOT problem, which I understand, but is there anything that we can do, even given that it's a private road, to help some of these businesses get through the next whatever period of time it will take DOT to make a decision? It really does seem in our efforts to support businesses that this is something that we should be able to handle, I hope.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
So we are reaching out to MassDOT. I need to check with the law department. One of the things that the business owners on that street could potentially do, I do need to check with law, is submit a petition for minor temporary repairs. We'll come and fill the potholes if it's allowed to at least get them through to when MassDOT addresses the roadway.
Would you kindly let me know the minute you hear from the law department? Because I will go to those business owners personally and share that with them and encourage them to do that. And I thank you for that.
Rockland, right?
Yeah, Commissioner, just so you know, that's already been requested. Councilor Farrell, who did that request go to, just so they're not duplicating efforts?
All the businesses that are affected by that road.
Who did you email on that already?
It was,
It was you?
it was director of,
Okay.
I think, believe it went to Ned Cod.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
not-
He's
there's no
reached out to
duplication.
MassDOT. I know that that communication line is there.
I think,
But not about the minor petition. I do need to check with
Okay.
Laura on that.
I think people are working on it. It's not, I'm not questioning that. I just think, that there are several businesses there, and in our efforts to try to support the business community, we like, if there's a temporary solution to that, that would be great. Terrific to do.
I will try my best.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. One last thing. There is a stretch of road between Newton South High School and Brown Middle School that for over a year now, I've been trying to get somebody to think about fixing it. It's traveled by hundreds of people every day, students, residents, teachers. And it is for most of the year either mud puddles or frozen ice for almost the entire length. And there is a question, I don't know, and I'd ask you if you would maybe take the lead, or maybe with Mr. Morse, take the lead, trying to find out who really owns that land, that road, and see what we can do to support getting it fixed. It's been horrific.
Counselor, what's the name of the roadway?
Pardon me? I
What
don't
is
know
the
that
name
it, I don't know that it has a name. It goes from Newton, it is the primary thoroughfare from Newton South High School to Brown and Oak Hill Middle Schools. And it runs right between the football field and the baseball field.
Okay, so what I would ask,
It's not deep, yeah.
what
It's not half that
let's,
road.
this is not a budget item. Let's,
It's not a budget.
right, let's
Well, I just,
follow up with
at
this. This is not, the budget meetings are not to get the commissioners and ask them personally, specific project requests. So let's take that one offline. With respect, I'm sorry, Counselor Farrell, but.
thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Chair.
I noted it, Counselor. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Counselor Albright and then Grossman.
So I'm sorry to raise this one more time, but I'm hoping, and I did listen to Juanita carefully, the issue of composting. What I would love to understand, if anybody's got these budget numbers, so there are roughly 3,000 people who pay $100 a year.
It's about 3,200 right now, I
To
believe.
do their own to do compost
Composting.
for that, but earth, and I would love to know how much money does that, there must be an estimate of how much money that saves the city per family. And then how much it would cost, and I know there's a cost to adding another truck. How much is that cost? If to add another truck to go around every day to pick up the compost, if we wanted to move this to be a citywide thing. I would love to have the actual, I hear a lot of, it's too expensive, it's too expensive. I would love to see the actual numbers.
It's for citywide composting. It will be unlikely that we could do it with city forces because we wouldn't have a place to store the compost.
Contracted.
Okay.
I'm sure it would have to be contracted, the same way we do
I just wanted
waste
to clear
management.
right up front on that one. I can get you that. It
So,
was part of the waste management budget proposals. So I do have that number.
okay, so I would love to see those numbers so that I can understand why we can't move forward with composting for the whole city. And I believe you that it would cost more to do it than not do it, but it just doesn't logically make sense, and I'd love to see the
I
numbers.
understand. It will also be part of that report I referred to that is due in December, our long-term sustainable materials report.
Okay, so that's next winter,
Yes,
December?
in December.
This winter.
Okay, we're always looking for ways to save money, and I'd love to understand why this isn't one way, and to this is fair one, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying to get better at remembering to ask about revolving funds in these meetings, that revolving funds. And because the gift account revolving funds and grants, as well as any CIP items, are part of our budget review. I just wanted to ask if you wouldn't mind flipping to the DPW section and just quickly kind of.
I actually
Nine.
don't have that page of the budget because I think it's
You want me-
outside of. It's in the back, right? The revolving.
Yeah, and yours begin, so you have to go, there's no, it's not numbered, but you have to go to the white tab in the back called Grant Skip
Yeah.
Revolving Funds. And their first one is on the very bottom, the Street Opening Permit Revolving Fund. And then it continues on to the back. And I mean, if you can, I guess one of the questions I have is there's a few here that have a request number next to it, but no expenditures from the prior 2 years, if you know what prompted that.
So the betterment revolving funds?
Well, it's just be all of them
Start there.
that begin at the bottom of that first page and go on to the back. So there's betterment ones, there's a bunch. There's a recycling program gift fund, then down below, there's a DPW traffic damage recovery revolving fund, a vehicle damage recovery revolving fund, a water sewer damage revolving fund. And they almost look new. I don't know if they are, or if it's just that it's becoming clear that they exist now that we're starting. to
It's
really
clear
review
that they
these.
exist.
Okay.
So I can tell you, I can speak to the betterment revolving funds. We do use those regularly. That is all of the granite curbing for people that request it in front of their homes. We should be in shortly to finance with our betterment.
So that's the money that flows in and out.
It flows
as-
in and out every year.
You
It
pay
is.
for half of it?
We pay for half of it and then the resident pays the other half. They have the option to do a 20-year betterment. So as we collect the betterment, we use that money to fund the next new betterments. Sidewalk curb revolving individual unrestricted, those are those. MassWorks grant, that is for Petty Square.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think that's what that one, I would have to check it. Petty Square was a MassWork. We may have another one.
Some of that new program. Well, I'd be curious to know what that one is for.
Petty Square was like a really big number, it was like two.
Yeah, but we've expended a good deal of it already.
So that's the balance, that's the remaining balance in there?
I thought there was the new, I thought there was
I
a
have to
new program
double
we
check.
just took up a few weeks ago that involved recruiting. What was the program that involves recruiting community members? Wasn't a MassWorks program? Oh, where's my brain?
For DPW,
I thought it was MassWorks,
it may be Mass, but it may not be DPW.
but it might be sitting here.
Oh, well,
I thought, nobody else remembers this?
We don't want to
Must have been
discuss.
before finance.
still,
We're gonna have to look
it
back
would
to your.
be sitting in.
Remember we were talking about
DPW.
recruiting like young people who were gonna be community representatives as part of this pilot? We were talking about how we were gonna find them and. This works. We're gonna have to look back at our reports, just to show you how sharp my brain is right now.
Pretty sure that you remembered it.
Well, but it was recent, so I should remember it more
Yes.
clearly.
So our MassWork grant was $1 million. That's what makes me think it is Petty Square. And we've expended 970.
But this is a request for this year of $1 million, so that doesn't
Oh,
make sense.
yeah, I'd have to look.
Okay.
Is it New Hampton, maybe?
Oh. I don't know, we'll
I-
clarify after the
Yes.
fact, we don't need to.
There are so many pots of money where we're getting grant funding that it's hard sometimes to know
I have to
exactly
say
which one
about
which.
What annoys me about this chart is there's another place in the budget that tells you actually how much money is in that revolving fund. And it should be right here on the same page.
Right.
Yes.
I agree, however, I will say, this is a step in the right
It
direction.
is, but I wish that the,
But are these real? That's the question.
These funds clearly exist, and these are requests that
No,
we're
but
being asked to
the
vote.
requests, like the million for Petty Square doesn't sound right.
well, you'd have to know how
We
much
have,
money
we
is in
have to
it.
go, yeah, because that project started in probably FY 23 or 24 and,
Right, and the other question I have is,
but I
think it's
Yeah.
will have to check.
Okay.
for all of these accounts, I would love to see the actual balance.
It's in another place in the budget, because I talked to Steve Curley about that this morning.
Okay.
Well, I know that there's a document that was recently posted on his comptroller's What's New page.
Yep.
That does list all the current balances, because that came up in the course of the school budget.
And
This
it's
is
in
the
here.
first year I
It's
realized
on page 4 of some other section,
in here.
in there, yeah.
All right, well, we'll have to see if we can find it, because this is the first year that I learned that the school department had its own revolving funds. Do you remember, Commissioner, probably 4 years ago at this point, there was a new revolving fund we voted on and approved for 2 of them?
For DPW.
Right, but I don't see them here.
So one is the DPW fleet replacement revolving fund.
There was
The
one
other
at
was for
Eversource.
National
Oh,
Grid.
National Grid.
So when we started doing that, it actually cost us significantly more money to pave the road. We were committing to pave roadways that were probably 2/3 more than what they were giving us because their contractor doesn't have to pay prevailing wage. So they might give us $19,000 for a street and it was actually costing closer to 100,000.
Yeah.
So now we're just having them half pay them.
But the fund isn't closed.
It should be, yes. It's not listed here.
Well, I don't think it can just be closed. So, okay, this is part of my.
We haven't
This is part of you.
We haven't requested any
Right.
money for it.
That's fine, and maybe that's why it's not reflected here. Part of my point to everybody else is that over the last, Counselor Albright, you can remind me.
Oh,
it
it's
was
right
back
for
when you were
National Grid
president
Road
and I was
versus
chair.
revolving.
Oh, that's the bottom one.
Yes.
All right, well, we're asking, they
Yeah.
asked for $500,000. So Counselor Albright, President Oliver, and I started really digging into this topic. And we can get into the details on another day and time. The point is, as we're going through the budget process, I want to encourage everybody to not ignore this section. Because there's a fair amount of money that flows through these accounts and, you know, I mean, these recovery revolving funds, I don't doubt that we have vehicle damage that needs money, but like $300,000, like that's 3 employees, you know what I mean? So it's worth sort of trying to further this process that we started marching down of, like, our ordinances are supposed to spell out every single one of these funds. We should be able to look it up, see why it was established, what it's for, what its purpose is, and know what its balance is at any time. And that's the goal that we've been trying to get to. And I do applaud that the new administration has been trying to move toward transparency in that direction, but there's a lot of work to be done there, and I think it's important to just remember these things.
Telling if you're confused.
Yeah, to that end, is it too much to ask of you to?
I can
put
go
a
through the
description?
reasons for each of these. Most of our revolving funds are a result of the sale of compost bins. What we collect at auction to go back into the fleet line items, because we take our vehicles that are past their useful life and we will auction those because we own them. And then take those funds and put it back into our fleet budget to support maintenance.
But can you go line by line for us?
Sure.
Not tonight, or if you don't know them all, but just to give
I
a
will do
detail
what
around
I
it.
have. I went through the betterments, Mass Works Rents. I will find out what that is. The sale of compost bins is a sale of compost bin. We would hope that we will sell some.
Yeah,
Recycling program, that's the RDP that we go to you every year with.
RDP,
Recycling dividend program from the state.
okay.
It's about
Oh, right.
$2,000. Unfortunately, they are discontinuing that program.
Well, and actually, your description of the compost bins is reminding me that a more accurate description of this green column might be what we are sort of authorizing to flow through
Through.
different times of
Not
year.
asking for this money.
It's not that we're earmarking $100,000 for compost bins.
It's allowing us to collect
Where-
that amount of money.
Right.
And what you do with that.
You
Yes,
understand that?
one of the requirements of the revolving fund is Councilor Grossman is correct. You're supposed to report on what you've used those funds for.
Right, so we're supposed to every year on all these funds be getting a report on what these funds are used for. And date, I don't think I can think of a single example.
Where
of
the money
such
comes
a
from, what
report
it's
that I've
used
seen.
for, both sides.
So let's just keep going.
So the
It's
down
revolving dividend grant, we use for community education and to support things like the recycling contamination program that we'll be running this summer. It goes to education and to
Okay.
support those needs. The mass, obviously, the chapter 90 goes to support our roads program. Traffic damage, if there is a traffic project that creates damage on private property.
Oh,
That's
right.
what that fund for. We haven't used that money. The same with our vehicle damage. Our water sewer damage, when we're doing a water sewer project, private
Mhm.
property damage. We would use that funding to support that payment. The fleet replacement revolving fund is what I spoke to. That is when we sell our vehicles and then use it to support our repairs. National Grid, I actually just expended all of the funding that we've collected from National Grid probably about a month ago. Maybe
So-
less.
So request really isn't the right word for this column.
It's authorization, I guess,
Yeah,
to
authorization to
spend.
spend.
Authorization to spend. Okay, that's good. All
So-
right, Councilor Albright?
I'm in the comptroller section, which shows the revolving funds to date by February of 2026. And what I don't understand is that the amount of money that's in the balance is much less than what you're asking for authorization to spend. Like, for instance, the DPW fleet equipment replacement, it says the balance is 91,065. And yet the amount of money that's being requested to spend is $500,000. How is that possible?
Because the money is going in and out of that account. So if we had an auction and collected $200,000, we would expend that $200,000 to do our parts and repairs to our current vehicles. So that money comes out, so the balance is fluctuating
So the
throughout
balance
the year.
must fluctuate very widely over the course of
It
the
can.
year.
Some, yes, some no.
So like the sale of the composting bins is request to spend $100,000, but there's $40,000 in the account.
Mhm. We'll use that to purchase more compost bins to sell.
Maybe the program will get super popular.
Yeah, the hope is that that
And
program gets
the
very
balance will
popular.
be 97,500.
Okay.
Maybe we need some history.
So
about
it is a
what
revolving
happens.
fund, so the money is revolving through it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going quick.
So
It's always changing.
Just getting a
Um,
glimpse at a certain moment.
CO Morse, you want to chime in here, and then I'll go to Councilor Donovan.
Yeah, I was just gonna say real quick, we share a lot of your same, I guess, curiosity with respect to the revolving fund line items. I think Councilor Grossman hit the nail on the head. There's a lot here and there's a lot more to do. One of the things we're gonna be working on over the course of the next year is getting a solid description of each one of these revolving accounts that we will then fold into the budget so that people can understand, exactly what these are, why the limits are set where they're at, how the funds are used. And I totally appreciate the comment about the reports as well. So we've got a lot more to do. This is the beginning of the journey, not the end.
Thank you.
I can't remember.
Okay.
It'll come back to you, maybe.
That you had previous asked me about, leaf vacuuming and the snowplow.
It wasn't, but if you'd like to respond to that, you're welcome to.
I did my research for the.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, do you want me to ask them what's here? or-
I'm happy. I usually have your
Wow.
questions right there. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you, Commissioner. I had emailed Commissioner Sullivan and sent along 2 requests from residents that I've heard, one of which was to introduce a leaf vacuuming program similar to Waltham. So like one day a year where residents could, instead of bagging, could put their, kind of pile their leaves into the street and a big vacuum goes by and just sucks them all up. Okay, and I think I had suggested maybe we do once in the spring as well, if we were gonna do this, to support people who wanted to keep leaves in place for pollinators and that kind of thing. And then the other one was about introducing snowplow guards, so that for those of us who shovel our own driveways and have experienced the pain of an ice dam at the end of your driveway 4 or 5 times in the course of one storm. Or for older residents who maybe can handle shoveling once, but don't have it in them to do it, at 7 AM again. These are kind of like a guard that can come down on a plow so that the plow can decide basically not block in the driveway, but, and then raise it and keep plowing. And I forwarded those to Commissioner Sullivan to see if he could look into them.
We could look into them.
Thank you.
The city previously operated a leaf vacuum collection
Oh, cool.
program, but this service was discontinued in 2008 or 2009. It was a seasonal program limited to fall leaf collection and relied on three machines with a dedicated crew. The operation was very labor intensive and the equipment proved difficult and expensive to maintain due to the frequent mechanical issues. Given the volume of yard waste that we collect in Newton, a leaf vacuum system is not a feasible or efficient collection method for us. The city ultimately transitioned away from the approach because of the equipment experienced repeated failures. And the current curbside collection system has proven to better serve our residents throughout the year. We do collection almost all year long.
Yeah.
And it is more cost effective and reliable for our residents.
Counselor Gass?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that I grew up with this back system, and it was, it's still ongoing. So it's the kind of thing that 15 years ago may have been problematic, but it's, I don't know if it's worth revisiting again, but I also think,
Happy to revisit.
yeah, I just sort of see it as being the kind of thing where people need some, like no sticks, it just needs to literally just be the
Is-
leaves.
A lot of guidelines, and then how do we stop the landscapers from just dumping all of their leaves on the streets? And if we don't get to it, there are now piles of leaves on the streets, which contributes to phosphorus. Is one of the main contributors to phosphorus into our drainage system, so I do have other concerns, environmental
No,
concerns
but I-
along with that.
It's plus minus, and I sort of see it as being, we still collect our own leaves, it's bag, we do what we need to do, but it's, it might be worth looking at.
Happy to look at it, but those are my concerns with it.
Yeah.
Off the cuff. And then regarding the snow plow driveway guards, I understand the concern about the driveway blockages and the burden it creates. I'm happy to look further into the option you mentioned, or options. At first review, it appears that many of these plow attachments are designed for loaders and not our heavy equipment trucks. But I will continue to investigate further to better understand what our options are. I did try to look into this, but I couldn't find anything for the trucks. I could only find it for loaders.
Meaning ones that are just putting them into other.
The loader, front end loaders,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
equipment. So we do use some loaders,
Yeah.
but we use a lot of trucks
Got it,
to
got it.
clear with the plows.
Got it.
And they didn't appear to be an option. I could find one for small pickup trucks, but not for the larger equipment.
Interesting.
It was.
Me,
slowing
the
down
company.
too.
I guess so, yeah. What's that?
I can imagine there might be
Yeah,
or
there's-
objections to having.
Well, and there's a question of where we're dumping that snow,
Yeah.
that we're it is going to end up probably across their sidewalks.
Right, yeah, because sorry.
It's a shift, yeah.
You're just passing on.
But happy to
your
continue to look at that.
Yeah.
That will evolve.
That's great. I did have some other question, but
Yeah.
I don't remember. So.
Okay, we have other questions. Oh, Counselor Gordon.
Just inside, because you talked about Crystal Lake, and I know it used to have an aerator. You were talking about what's going on in Crystal Lake with the treatments,
It's an algae bloom treatments.
right? So do we no longer have an aerator for the?
I do not for the
Or
acreage that we
agitator.
do. That would be, I think, Parks and Rec.
Okay, yeah, it's just because you had mentioned Crystal Lake, so I thought I'd ask.
We have some filters for the outfall and all of that, yes. And we do the treatment to ensure the algae blooms, yeah.
Thank you.
We just completed that this month, I believe.
Counselor Donovan.
I remembered. And it's two questions. One is that in years past, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there had been a program whereby residents could purchase at a discount rain barrels for their home. Was that in DPW?
It was,
Okay, and that has been ended.
it has.
Okay, was that the kind of, it came to my mind because of the revolving fund question, was that the kind of thing that would have got moved through a revolving fund, we
Yeah.
buy and sell?
Yeah.
Okay. That's helpful to understand, and then the other one goes back to Councilor Albright's question about the composting and recycling, and when we were given that presentation, there was this idea that, you know, there's also a potential to start offering the smaller bins, that might reduce the waste or help reduce the waste as well. And this is maybe a question for my colleagues as well. This is my first time going through this process. Where in this process, where in our waste management contract is it the time for us to do anything on this? Do we have to docket something? Do we have to take an action? Do we need to, how does this move forward if it is going to move forward?
We can reopen the contract. I would recommend waiting for the report.
Okay,
It'll be a substantial discussion.
okay, but it's, I mean, it's a 5-year contract, so.
It is a 5-year, there is a reopener clause within the contract.
But even if we're looking at it in 5 years, that's several years away before we have that conversation, I'm imagining. Okay.
I would think so,
Okay.
but that's
No,
just
when is the report coming?
the end of
This year, right?
this year. Yeah.
So we could discuss that.
Okay, great.
We will definitely discuss the report with public facilities.
Very good. Council Roach?
Hi, I apologize because PS&T spent an hour on 130 feet of no parking. So I'm late, and if you covered this already, Commissioner, I apologize. 2 questions. One is about the service that we use that does the Google Streets like mapping of our streets. We're talking about this briefly with you at the expo in the Seaport. How often are they scanning our streets?
Every 2 years, we'll be doing it this summer.
What is the incremental cost to do it more frequently, and what's the reason, if any, not to?
We need to be able to also plan and prioritize all of our roads. The 2 years works for us because it gives us a little bit of time to really plan out our roads, and they don't deteriorate that much within a year.
Okay, that wasn't exactly my experience in the last few months of this winter, but okay.
This winter is an exception.
It was brutal.
It was brutal. Unfortunately, we're scanning.
Okay, do you have a number for what an incremental scan costs?
I can get that for you. It will be a little bit more this year because I've asked to do a pilot for pavement markings and street signs an area. I'm not sure it's there yet, but I'd like to find out. I did it last year and I want to see how much it's improved this year.
Because it would also strike me that this would be a good opportunity to evaluate. It would be a good use of the technology to evaluate utility repairs to our streets and whether they're doing, you know, what they should be and they're doing it with high quality. So that might be another reason for more frequent scans. But I look forward to talking to you about that. Okay, second question I have, which is really a question for the broader committees, is I think we're getting to the point where it's pretty well accepted that leaving leaves on a lawn is better environmentally. So why are we still providing a free service to residents who rake their leaves?
There's a push-pull there because
Garden beds.
Okay.
better in garden beds, but with leaves and rain, it is a huge phosphorus contributor into our
No,
water.
So I'm sorry, I spoke over somebody.
Oh, I was saying that there's a push-pull there. Leaves and runoff from leaves is a huge contributor to our phosphorus problem.
the biggest.
But is that including runoff from residents' lawns?
Lawns that go into the driveway, into the drainage system.
Okay, I need to understand this better. All right. Because it strikes me that those of us doing pollinators and not, I mean, is it a combination of ornamental lawns and then leaves on top of the ornamental lawns, which are then not incorporated, which then become a runoff problem? Or is it like, if it's your leaves in a pollinator garden or under trees or et cetera? So I don't want to, this is fact-based. Clearly I need some more information, but you've certainly answered my question, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Roach. I'd say the other thing is that all the drains then get covered.
They do
Never
get
get
covered.
cleaned, and that's a big problem.
Well, the drains getting covered though, that's a street sweeping. That can be addressed by street sweeping. Right, I get that. Like I'm not against street sweeping, you know, I totally get that. It's just that we are promoting we are promoting ornamental lawns and the removal of leaves, which, you know, largely have an environmental benefit, and I don't want us to be subsidizing behaviors that we don't think are environmentally prudent. And, you know, we see this across the city budget. You know, we're charging for buses, we're not charging to drop kids off. Like, you know, want to make sure that in our budget, we are not subsidizing climate harmful behaviors.
Councilor Roach, maybe, I think you should check on your assumption that it's okay to leave a thick layer of leaves on your grass.
I have been reading a lot about it, but I'm happy to learn more, and the issue of runoff, you know, I know is complex, but I'll look into it more.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Roach. Any other questions?
Is it time for a motion? Yes.
So there would be, what I'm looking for here is a straw vote to accept the Department of Public Works budget of $111,888,201. With the supplemental $1 million, with the supplemental CIP and the CIP, I'm gonna have you make that motion because you can see it right there.
So I move,
Oh,
sorry, wait,
So it might be helpful to pull up the screen that has the general fund and the enterprise funds. Break it out that way.
okay.
Is the enterprise
Yeah,
budget?
I mean, I can do it that way, or I can read it the way.
You
it's-
can read it that way.
we're okay.
The clerk prepared it,
Yeah.
so
Perfect.
I think when we get through to the committee of the whole, we will vote separately. We do pull up the water, sewer and stormwater
Right.
separately, but I think for this purpose, it's
Thank
clear
you.
enough to keep it simple. Okay, so I move that we take a straw vote to accept the Department of Public Works budget of $111,888,201, as well as the supplemental CIP and the CIP with respect to the Department of Public Works budget, which includes the water, sewer, and stormwater funds.
Is there anything else in the CIP that we didn't talk about the CIP?
We haven't talked about it yet.
I incorporated the CIP projects for the Department of Public Works in my budget presentation. That includes the sewer I&I projects, the transportation network improvement plan, our vehicle replacement, and what am I forgetting? Oh, our water, sewer, and some of the stormwater.
So are there any big ticket vehicle replacement programs, vehicle?
It's outlined in the CIP. There's a full list by year of our vehicle replacement schedule.
Your
I'm
motion
happy
covers
to
everything.
provide it.
My motion covers everything. However, the CIP and supplemental CIP are part of this. So if anybody has
If you wanted
questions on
to-
particular items, certainly are appropriate. We will have another bite at that apple because the same night as our water, sewer, stormwater hearing is the big CIP presentation. And there's ample opportunity to dig into any CIP item anybody wants.
I'm happy to send an outline of our CIP projects.
Oh, that would be great.
I second your motion.
So there's a motion to accept the Department of Public Works budget for $111,888,201. Straw vote. All those in favor please say, or please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye. Or
Okay,
you vote.
all those opposed? Oh, it's unanimous, so.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Really appreciate it.
So committee, before we leave, I don't know if you noticed, but this was a very conversational meeting. And oftentimes we have very conversational, because I think when we're in person, we get a lot more out of it. So if you have a problem or like with that style, let me know. But I kind of like that.
I prefer it.
Okay, but I do also want to let you know that I'll probably interrupt certain times if I think it's getting out of hand and we need
Yeah.
to keep moving, but I just wanted to make that comment.
You did appropriate.
Okay,
I think we get a little more out of it when there can be a little bit of back and forth.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be a whole conversation, but so far I think you're doing a good job.
okay,
If our questions pop up,
that's right.
Yeah, a topic.
it's more.
Well, that was also much more traditional pre-COVID.
Feel free
You know, that was kind of the expectation of more of a committee meeting that you could have some back and forth.
Yeah,
Once we went to COVID, there's no way to do that.
Right.
with Screens.
Back from the person.
I'd like
I
to see
said.
it.
I would agree.
Hard to personal sites.
Yeah, and they're waiting. there,
Right.
they have some
Forget.
information. Like when Reagan's going through a thing and what number we're on.
Their French,
Yeah.
they
Response.
did National Break Response, and they didn't, you know.
They did.
Recording stopped.
It up to $50,000 for us to completely empty each point over. That is Massachusetts Energy and Environmental Affairs Municipal Committee